Have you ever wondered where the problems in the world today would exist if we had deeper connection to ourselves, others, and the environment and acted from that place? Welcome to the Conscious Action Podcast with your host, Brian Berneman, who believe that connection is the key to taking conscious action as individuals and creating a better world. We are here to raise awareness and inspire meaningful action by sharing stories, knowledge, and conversations with thought leaders and change makers. From sustainability to well-being and everything related to conscious living, our mission is to empower you to be the change that you want to see in the world. Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Conscious Action Podcast. I am Brian Berneman, your host, and I have the pleasure to be joined all the way from the US by Stephanie Moyal. First of all, Steph, thank you so much for being here, for taking the time. I'm sure that we're going to have a beautiful conversation based on our previous conversations. So for everybody that is listening and watching us, what can you share about you? Who is Steph?
Yes, of course. First of all, thank you so much for having me as well. I'm really excited to get into all the things. So yeah, a little bit about me. I am from California and I am in the mushroom space. I co-founded a company called Troop with my cousin Jake during COVID. It's actually kind of a funny story. The first day of lockdown here in California, I had been furloughed from my job in hospitality, and Jake had gotten into a really bad ski accident and broke his leg, and he's okay now. But at the time, he couldn't walk or anything like that. So he had to move in with his parents, and I offered to come help take care of his leg because I also was homeless, basically. And during that a book called How to Change Your Mind, and I discovered mushrooms. I didn't know about mushrooms. I didn't know that they could be so healing for the brain, for the body, for the soul. And I turned to Jake and I asked him if he wanted to start growing mushrooms. And the rest is honestly kind of history.
It's so interesting. I often talk with people and how a time that for many was super challenging. And I mean, I'm sure that in some ways it was challenging for you to, like to suddenly not have your job anymore, how
Yeah.
that created so many opportunities as well for the ones that decided to do something and explore something different, something new. And in your case, it's like mushrooms.
Yeah, 100%. I remember at the very beginning of this process of losing my job, I was like, what am I going to do? I was thinking like I have nothing lined up and it was like a little bit stressful to be honest. But then I just kind of was like, okay, I'm gonna let myself just I'm gonna ease up on myself and take the pressure off. And at first, we were watching Netflix all the time and it was really fun. And, but then after a little bit of time, that gets old and you're sitting there like, what am I going to do with my life? And yeah, so Jake and I remember we were taking online courses that we could find with really famous entrepreneurs. There was a Peter Thiel class that he taught at Stanford. We started watching a little bit of that. I actually got really into ghost kitchens, which is a basically an offsite kitchen that delivers your food. It's for delivery only. And I was considering opening up one of those with just some like a boutique version. And I got really into the process of researching. I created a business plan, and then I realized this was actually really not for me. And it was simultaneously while we were building up the mushroom stuff. So I was like, this is so much more in line. And it got me so much more excited. But yeah, I really just tried to let myself not care that I was homeless, not care that I didn't have any money, not care that I was jobless. And mushrooms really helped me get through that process and really connect to myself because it does come with a lot of anxiety. Um, and in the end, my unemployment money actually is what started Troop. So that was kind of cool.
Wow. I would love to hear, especially since you said like I was new to this mushroom world. Like, what was it about mushrooms for you that I was like that, wow, this actually not only it's good for me, this can actually be turned into a potential business.
Yeah. So, what first interested me about mushrooms was that they've been used in cultures all around the world for centuries for problems that we're still dealing with today: immunity, gut health, anxiety, focus, mental clarity, digestion, the list goes on. And I feel like our culture is very, as a Western society, we are very dependent on curative medicine and prescription medicine.
Mm.
And mushrooms are a tool to help you prevent the issue from even happening and then also help you naturally fix it. And mushrooms also have the ability to help you connect back to yourself and really get to the root cause of why you are having these problems. So that's what really fascinated me about mushrooms. And then as we started growing them, we just felt so connected to them, and we wanted to started to share the benefits with our community. And when we looked around and we went to our local grocery store, we only found powders and pills and tinctures, and none of that really resonated with us. It would just kind of sit there with a lot of our other supplements that we wouldn't take because of the form factor. I remember when Jake said, let's make gummies. So we started to make our own gummies with the mushrooms that we were growing. And it was such a huge hit with our friends and family and our community. People were loving them. And they kept telling us about how life-changing it was and how it was impacting their health and how they felt much better. And we realized too that there's so much mysticism around mushrooms, and the gummy really helped take away some of that mysticism and made them fun and approachable to take. And you kind of look forward to taking your mushrooms now. Like I have mine on my desk, and it's now a matter of stopping myself to take them because they're so good. Yeah. And the point where we realized we had a business, it was so organic. It was really just to serve our friends and family. And I remember talking to my friend's dad, who's really successful, and he said, you have something here and you need to run, you need to do it. You have a window of opportunity and don't waste it. So
Mm.
at that point, I called Jake and I was like, Jake, we have to run. Are you down? We have to go big. We have to really go start sprinting. And he, okay, let's do it. And so from that point forward, we created a company.
Wow. It's interesting because I have been taking mushrooms for their medicinal purposes for a long time. And for me, I love mushrooms. Like for everyone that is listening, like if you haven't yet, go and check out Fantastic Fungi. That
Yes,
Netflix documentary, it's amazing. And
amazing.
I love that entire world. Like it's literally a world
Oh
of
yeah, the fungi
so
kingdom.
man, yeah, like not only the mycelium network, but as well
Yeah.
different types of mushrooms for all different things. And of course, one of the things that I realized through the years was just like with other different plant medicines as well, that there's a lot of misconceptions. Like there's a lot of people that, if one says, "Oh, I'm taking mushrooms," they think that you're getting high, like not
Yeah.
that you're actually doing something for your health. And
Yeah.
me coming from a preventative medicine like perspective and holistic health, understanding the importance of this, and then be like, oh yeah, like if I say I'm taking I'm taking mushrooms, people think that I'm high. I need to make sure that I'm communicating well. And I love the fact that as well you've been able to create uh, something that works on not only the barrier that is there for people to take perhaps the supplement in a way that makes it more challenging unless someone is super, super, super into their health and they're put on their smoothie or things like that, like the blend of mushrooms,
Yeah.
like making something that is more accessible so that there's not that barrier to taking it and to benefit themselves.
100%. Yeah, that was our whole goal, was to make it so the people who aren't making those hardcore smoothies in the morning could just easily pop a gummy and be excited about it and walk out the door. And there's nothing wrong with the hardcore smoothie. I mean, I enjoy one here and there myself too, But the gummy is just so easy, so delicious. And we made sure that if we were going to make a gummy, we were going to make the best quality gummy. So it's free from any junk ingredients you would find in other gummies. And our mushroom products are the best. We researched every single mushroom farm in the United States because we really wanted it to be grown here so we could have more stringent quality control. And we researched the best extraction methods. We have a proprietary patent pending extraction method. It's triple extracted. We only use the fruiting body. So we were like, if we're going to be a gummy, we're going to be the best gummy. And I think we achieved that.
Wow, that's so awesome. Going back a little bit like to your relationship that you said like that you started to feel with the mushrooms. Can you share a little bit around that? Because I do feel like I have grown sometimes, like I got some of those like kits for growing mushrooms and I've grown them here at home and I got this like pink oyster mushrooms or different type of oyster mushrooms.
Yeah, those are
And it's
cool.
so I feel like as well, just like with the garden growing the veggies, it's so nice to have that connection because a lot of people don't have that. Can you share a little bit about how you feel that connection?
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely agree with you. Growing the mushrooms is so cool because you are seeing it from the first spore until it fruits. And I have never really gardened before. So this was my first kind of try at having a green thumb. And we made lots of mistakes, but we did have a lot of success too. And it's just so beautiful to see the whole process from start to finish. And you really feel connected to what you're growing and what you end up eating. And it's honestly very beautiful. And I wish that more people can have that experience too. It's just very special to use your hands and cultivate something. Um, but obviously that takes some time and we don't have that time. And so for people that don't have that, it's totally okay. But you can get those little kits that come and you grow the pink oysters and then you can cook with them or something. But aside from growing the mushrooms, taking mushrooms too, it really helps you just kind of get to the root cause of what's actually going on. And for me at that time, just feeling very anxious with everything being up in the air,
Mm.
it just really helps me calm and chill and sleep very well. And with mushrooms, I think mushrooms and mindfulness are just the best combination ever. And I would have was pairing those and just really seeing where all of this is coming from. What is the root cause? Why do I feel this way? Like, why don't I feel safe or
Mm.
whatever it might be? So pairing those two is, I think, a recipe to use for the rest of your life.
Mm. Beautiful. I would love for you, Steph, to share a little bit around like some of the different mushrooms and some of the benefits. Like I know, for example, like I take I take a few different ones as like powders from that perspective. I take some reishi, I take some lion's mane, I take like well, I take a nice blend of
Yeah.
things. But for everybody that is listening that perhaps they don't know the different types of mushrooms and they don't know some of the benefits, can you share a little bit about them?
Yeah, for sure. So there is right now kind of a powerhouse six that is being used in the industry. It's lion's mane, reishi, chaga, maitake, cordyceps, and turkey tail. So just very high level about these mushrooms, a few key points. Lion's mane, if you look at it, actually looks like a brain. And I kind of have this theory that foods that look like a brain are good for your brain because lion's mane is, I know walnuts are, I feel like pecans must be because they look exactly like a brain. But yeah, anyways, I digress. Lion's mane is incredible for your brain. It's actually being studied as a potential treatment for neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and other similar ones. And it helps you with focus, mental clarity. It helps improve your memory. It also is really great for your gut. It has anti-inflammatory properties. It's truly an incredible mushroom. Then we have reishi, which is the queen of mushrooms. It's probably one of the mushrooms that is the most well known. It kind of does a little bit of everything. It's such a phenomenal mushroom, but some high level is that it really helps with anxiety. It helps regulate the body's stress hormone production. And because of that, it helps you sleep. So it's not going to make you tired. I take reishi in the morning to help stress levels throughout the day. It's not going to make you tired, but it helps just the body regulate itself. It's also incredible for your immune system as well. And then we have chaga, which is actually one of the most potent sources of antioxidants of any food or fungi.
Mhm.
And it also is really helpful for healthy cellular turnover in the body. And then moving on, we have maitake, which is great for metabolism and maintaining healthy levels of blood sugar. Turkey tail is probably one of the best mushrooms you can take for your immunity, and it's also incredible for your gut health. It has prebiotic, probiotic properties, and it's also being used as a potential, or no, not potential. In Japan, they're actually using it in tandem with some cancer therapies, and there's been a lot of stories, and one is actually in Fantastic Fungi of Paul Stamets' mother taking turkey tail mushrooms and it drastically decreasing the size of her tumors and increasing her life. She's still alive, and that was basically what they said impossible. And then lastly, we have cordyceps, which is incredible for endurance and stamina. It actually helps with oxygenation of the blood. So one of the Chinese Olympic teams, I think it was like 1992, but I could be butchering that. They were breaking all these records in running races, and they attributed it to cordyceps. So that's their secret ingredient. But that is also a really exciting mushroom too that's gaining a lot of popularity. So you can totally go down the rabbit hole with each of these mushrooms, but they're all amazing in their own ways. A common thread is that they are all amazing for your immune system. And yeah, I definitely stand by them.
Mhm. And it's just, like I know that I mix them. I use like a lot. I use the six that you mentioned, and I use a few other ones. For people that are listening, perhaps this is all new to them, like they are not used to using or to actually eating or just having mushrooms. Is there recommendations on what to mix, what not to mix, on how much to have? I know that you mentioned, you need to stop yourself from eating the gummies. Like,
Yeah.
what's some of your recommendations?
Yeah, so my recommendations are that, well, first of all, it's a little bit challenging at this point of time in the industry because not all mushroom products are created equal. So if you say 1 milliliter of tincture is your standard dose, it's very hard to compare it against other companies because you don't know what that 1 milliliter of tincture consists of. So I would say going back to the basics, you definitely want to make sure that your mushrooms are grown in the US because mushrooms that have been imported from places like China have been found to have heavy metals and leads due to the pollutants of where they're grown. So first and foremost, you want to make sure you're getting your mushrooms from the US. And then you want to make sure that you're getting a fruiting body product because that is where the majority of the nutrients are stored. So the fruiting body, think of it as the part of the mushroom that grows above the ground. And then you have this root-like structure underground called the mycelium. And the mycelium is a fascinating network, but when you cultivate it outside of nature, it has to grow on something. The spores, it needs to eat something in order to grow. And that usually consists of rice or some sort of grain. So when a lot of companies are selling very cheap mushroom products and using the mycelium ground up with all of this grain because you can't separate it as it eats the grain. So you're basically just getting like a bunch of starch in your mushroom products. So you want to make sure you're getting a fruiting body and you want to make sure it's grown in the US. Then you want to make sure that your mushrooms are extracted. So inside of the mushrooms, the bioavailable compounds are locked within the cell walls. And in order for the body to actually absorb and be able to utilize these nutrients, the nutrients need to be extracted. So there's fat and water soluble compounds. So you need at least a hot water and alcohol extraction. So those are the three big things. Made in the US or grown in the US, fruiting body, and at least will extracted. So that's where I would start. And then if you're comparing those things, it really just depends. Every body is a little bit different. We do 1 milliliter of tincture between our two gummies, and that is our serving size. Some people take more, some people are a little more sensitive and take less. I take two of the lion's mane, two of the reishi, and two of the super troop, which is our 6 mushroom blend. And you can just kind of fool around with what feels good for you. If I ate the whole bottle of the lion's mane, my brain would be buzzing, but nothing's gonna happen. But you, of course, don't want to do that every single day. So, and if you have any specific questions on dosing, I always recommend talking to a doctor because if you have a specific issue, they might recommend more or less. It just depends.
Yeah, I always with things like that, it's nice always to hear recommendations and things like that. And at the same time, we need to take, like ownership of our own experience and understand we're all different. And depending on our body composition, our history, and like what we eat and other things, like all of that um, actually matters in terms of how we are going to metabolize whatever we're putting into our bodies. So we need to actually have that, in a sense, curiosity or experimentation with everything that we're taking to realize. It's the same with food. Like if we eat something and we actually pay attention, it's like, oh, I realized that mostly every time that I eat this, I feel a little bit more bloated. Like it's like, well, like
Yeah,
that's something that perhaps we need to see. Do we want to keep on eating that?
I agree. And it's so funny you say that because I have been paying really close attention to this as of late because I feel like our society doesn't encourage the mind-body connection, really. It's something that I've really only learned about as I've gotten older, and it's so interesting how disconnected the two are. And I think everyone as a whole could really benefit from slowing down and tuning in more because your body actually tells you what it needs and what it wants. And it tells you what it's craving and it will react to things that don't feel good. And a lot of times we just don't even realize it because we're like, oh, whatever, we're not even paying attention to it. But when you can really tune in and listen and feel, it kind of changes everything for you.
Yeah. Well, this is one of the biggest parts of my work, which is getting people to learn about themselves, about their mental health and their whole body health. Because of this
Yeah.
specifically, they're saying our society doesn't show us how to do that. Our society actually encourages us to keep on moving on autopilot, not to notice things. If something is a little bit off, take a pill, like just shut that down, don't pay attention to it. And unfortunately, mostly we are not taught, as you're saying, to notice the signals that our body is sending us. So the body's little by little just knocking on the door and saying like, hey, this isn't good, this isn't good. And suddenly like we're not paying
Yeah.
attention. And then it's like, well, you end up in the hospital with something big or whatever happens. And then we need to listen because there's no other choice.
Exactly.
But to be able to have that relationship with ourselves, to have that relationship with the things that we are bringing into our body, into our mind, and understanding the impact of all of that, so that we can actually live healthier and prevent so many things from happening just by what we are choosing to actually consume, both in
Yeah.
what we are watching and what we are seeing, the people around us, and then what we are eating.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And I think that process can kind of feel intimidating at the beginning because you're like, I don't know what my body is telling me and I don't know how to do this and it feels so foreign and something that I always would do is when I would try to listen to my body and it wouldn't say anything, I would be like, that's okay. And I wouldn't be like, and because at first I was like, why can I hear it? Why can I understand what it's saying? And then when I wouldn't hear anything and I was trying to listen, I'm like, okay, it's fine. I don't need to go down that path. And then when it does tell me something and I really try to listen to it, get really excited when I could hear it, and I kind of encourage that connection more. And I feel like that's how you start the process because it can feel a little bit daunting at first.
Yeah, I often say, especially to my students at university, which most of them are younger, like just out of high school, and I usually tell them, it takes a lot of courage and responsibility, like taking responsibility for our life and a lot of courage to do things differently than the people perhaps around you or your family that, they are not paying attention to those things. And so we need to actually understand how all of this works. And the more that we understand, the more that perhaps we feel that we can explore it more. But it takes that courage because we are going to be doing things differently. Just like we
Yeah.
were saying at the beginning, like saying to someone like I'm taking mushrooms and like they might think that you're getting high or whatever. It's
Yeah,
like being comfortable with like, yeah, I'm doing things differently.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm. So, Steph, for the people that are actually like um in the process of, okay, this might be interesting, this might be like a good thing to explore. Um, what's your take on like where to start? Do you feel like people need to actually learn more? Do people need to actually start to get the gummies and start, like to consume so that they can experience? Like what would be your recommendations in that?
Yeah, I would definitely say just, but well, first of all, if you don't know where to start, our website is a really great resource. We have a ton of blog articles. We are really passionate about educating. So if you're not ready to make the jump into trying, you could go on our website, read, research. We have endless information. And if you're ready to just give it a go, I think it depends on what you're looking for. If you have a hard time focusing, or if you have a hard time getting up and getting in the groove of things in the morning, I would say try the lion's mane. If you feel like you want to chill a little bit more, maybe improve your sleep, I would say go with the reishi. And if you don't know where to start and you want to just see it on your health, I would say do the super troop. It's a 6 mushroom blend, and it is a good place to start if you don't know where to start, or if you
Mhm.
just want a little bit of everything. And yeah, we're always here for questions. We have a really fun Instagram page at Try Troop that puts out some really fun educational content. And Jake and I try to get in front of the camera as much as possible and tell our story and help share the pain points that mushrooms have helped us. So yeah, I think those are some really good resources.
Hmm. I really like the fact that you and Check are making this as fun as possible, like on the website and with the content, because there are things like this that a lot of times, as I was saying, even with the gummies, like there's a barrier for people to try something new, to try something different, even something that is as amazing as mushrooms and has been there for thousands of years, like in terms of how different cultures have been using them for medicine. Even if that is true, like for a lot of us Westerners, this is new stuff. And to be able to
Yeah.
open up to like okay, like I'm going to try that. And like I like that try troop as well, but like just making things fun and making things accessible so that people feel a little bit like, oh, okay, like this isn't, too out there. Like this feels
Yeah.
like something that I could try.
Exactly. That was our whole thing. We wanted to feel safe, approachable, trustworthy, and yeah, fun. Because at the end of the day, being healthy and supporting yourself should not be difficult and should not be hard or stressful. It should be fun and you should look forward to it. And we just want to facilitate that. And we ended up naming the company Troop because it means a group of mushrooms that grows together.
Mm.
And our goal is to be like mushrooms and support our community and our ecosystem and just connect. Like we really believe in the power of connection. So yeah, I completely agree. It should be fun. It should be easy.
Mm. And I love, like the power of mushrooms for everyone. Like mushrooms are
Yeah.
amazing. I think that, like they are like the like as we get every few years, like a new like superfood and things like that, like that it gets out of the craze. It's like this is so good for everyone. And of course, as we talked about, like, we need to understand how much and what is good for each of us at each moment. But as a whole, as a network, as this world that is just a living, breathing network, that mycelium and all of the types of mushrooms that are out there, like it's amazing and it's so good as well for the planet. Like
Yeah.
mostly, like having more people growing mushrooms. I know, like being vegan, like I know that there's been a lot of farmers that have actually transitioned from being animal like farmers to
Oh,
mushroom farmers. And that's a great way for them, to actually make a transition to do something that is not only good for the animals and but good for the planet, that can keep them going financially as well. And it's,
yeah.
I feel like mushrooms are this huge thing that most people don't know about, and they taste amazing as well for eating.
I know. It's so funny you say that because when Jake and I were first discovering mushrooms, we felt like we had discovered this ancient secret that no one was talking about. And we're like, where are the conversations happening? So yeah, I totally agree with you. And yes, mushrooms are an incredible substitute for meat. They're so rich in vitamins and minerals. They have a very similar texture, consistency. They're filling, they're amazing, they're delicious. I love, love, love eating mushrooms. It's very on brand, but I also love it aside from the fact that it's on brand. And there's so many other really interesting applications that are coming with the mushroom industry as well. For instance, mycelium is being used for packaging, which is going to be incredible when that starts revolutionizing the industry. It is going to be a game changer. And also, there's a lot of, yeah, we just said, but mushroom-based meats, that will take over as well. Also, building materials are using mycelium for building materials. I've even seen it in the fashion industry too. Mycelium leather. There's actually a company called MycoWorks that is using its reishi mycelium and is making, they actually partnered already with Hermes, one of the top fashion houses in the entire world, and they made a bag. And they partnered with Adidas, they made a shoe, they partnered with Mercedes-Benz, they did a prototype of leather seats. So that is also going to shake the leather industry, which is incredible. And I think there was one more that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, this one was really kind of random, but also coffins made out of mycelium, which is actually really great because the dying is not very eco-friendly when you're buried. So this can help that process and help the planet too. So
Hmm.
it's super, super exciting, all the different applications. Jake and I always say like we think mushrooms are gonna help save the world. And there's actually some more use cases too in fantastic fungi that are super interesting with that oil spill. That one was really interesting, and the termites, and yeah, it's just also fascinating.
Yeah, and it's wonderful the fact that it's great environmentally. It's great for a solution for a lot of the issues that we are having in the world, because of this is an alternative, as you were just sharing. It's an alternative for so many things that we're doing that are not sustainable, and it's great for our health. Like,
Exactly.
check, check, check.
Exactly. It's like, why not?
Mm. Steph, I would love to know, if you need to share something, like, and I mean, perhaps you were in this boat as you were when you didn't know about mushrooms. What is one thing that you wish everyone knew, especially around mushrooms?
Yeah. Mushrooms aren't scary, and they can be really life-changing. And I think when you pair that with mindfulness, it's just a really amazing relationship, and they help you come back to yourself. And they're so healing and incredible, and they've been used for thousands of years and will continue to be used. And it just really enables you to take your own life into your hands and to really just connect back to yourself.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And Steph, once more, if people are interested in trying them out, if people are interested to check some of the educational content that you're putting out, where can they find you?
Yes, so our website, it's www.trytroop.com. That is TRYTROOP.com. Our Instagram is also trytroop, TRYTROOP. And for anyone that wants to give us a try, we created a discount code called Conscious Action 20, and your listeners will get 20% off when they try Troop.
Beautiful. I'll put all of those links on the show notes and I'll put there as well that code. So if you're wanting to try, why not get in that discount? So that's great. Um, Thank you so much, Steph, for sharing with us. For everyone listening, I'd love to know, as always, what did you hear that perhaps was new? What did you learn? Do you already use mushrooms for healing? Do you have any specific like stories that you want to share about how you've been using them? Or if you're interested in using them, go and check out Try Troop, the website, go and try it out. So yeah, let us know whatever it is that you're finding this episode, what you think of it. Once more, thanks, Steph, for taking the time, for being here,
Yeah,
for
of course.
sharing
Thank you for
mushrooms with the
having
world.
me. Yeah, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.
What did you like the most about this episode? Take a moment to think about what change you can make in your life today.
Share your conscious action on social media using hashtag conscious action and tagging @consciousaction_NZ so we can celebrate your impact on the world and create a ripple effect.
One easy action we would love for you to take right now is to share, like, and subscribe to this podcast. This will help us get these messages out into the world and inspire more people to take conscious action in their own lives, contributing to the better world we hope for.